All right, guys, I am starting the broadcast and I would love to hear from you that you can hear me. So if you could let me know, let me just put in the chat here. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know you can hear me. And then once I get that verified, I will get started. If you're not live, then you can't hear this anyway. So I won't say hit the refresh button if you're not seeing anything, but I just want to make sure that everybody can see, everybody can hear. I'm just going to do a little check on my own to make sure all is good, because I hate it when you run a webinar and nobody can see or hear you. It's pretty terrible. So let's see. Are we all good? Yep. Okay. I can mute myself. We're all good. You should be able to hear me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so then you guys can verify that, yes, you can see my screen, and then we can get started on this awesome content that I have for you. So let me get my screen shared here and just let me know that you can hear me and that you can see this really weird thing on my screen right now, and I'll get to something that looks a little more normal. But at the moment, it's just very odd looking. Okay, there we go. So let me know that you can see this. And I really wish I had two monitors, because then I wouldn't have to switch back and forth and check the chat to see if you guys can see me and all that. But if you guys could just let me know in the chat that we're all good and that you can see and hear, that would be really helpful. Okay, I can see that I have my screen up. So I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and, yep, there I am on my own screen. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be checking occasionally in the chat just to see what's going on with you guys. If you have any questions along the way, please put them in the chat, and I will be sure to try to answer them either along the way or at the end. So let me get this presentation up here and we'll be ready to go. All right, so we are going to be talking about the 5 key ingredients to skyrocket your music career in 2016. And when I say skyrocket, I am not talking about you're going to find somebody that is going to do all the work for you. They're going to get you a bunch of connections. That's not the kind of work that I do. I talk about how you can become more productive and profitable on your own. And because that means you have complete control over your career and you're not just waiting around for decision makers to help you. You know, you are taking charge. So we're going to talk about how to make you more productive and thus more profitable in 2016. So what you're going to learn, first of all, we're going to talk about how to turn your dreams and desires for your music career into goals and plans and actually actions. So we're not just talking about pie in the sky dreams here. We're going to make these actually concrete. How you can double your productivity and profitability with one small addition to your calendar. For me, in 2015, this tripled my productivity and profitability in some areas. So this makes a big difference. Why your to-do list is killing your productivity. Sometimes our to-do list can be our worst enemy. And how doing less in 2016 will make you more money. Everybody wants to know how to do less, right? So this is going to be what we're going to be talking about, and I've broken it down into 5 areas. But before we get into this, I didn't even add a slide for this, but I do want to mention, in case some of you don't know who I am, my name is Bree Noble. I am the founder of and CEO of Women of Substance Radio and Podcast. I've been doing that for 8 years. In my early years, my corporate life, I worked as a director of finance at an opera company. So I have a double degree in music and business. And I also then had a career as an independent female artist for several years, put out several CDs, toured, all that stuff. But it took me a while to get there because I didn't understand how to make it happen for myself, because I was trying to play the music industry's rules, and they weren't biting. And so I was just biding my time, waiting around, not realizing that I could make things happen on my own. So I wasted like 10 years of frustration when I could have been out there actually having a career. So that's what I want to help you guys with, because I don't want you to waste 10 years like I did from age 22 to age 32, not actually, using my God-given talent and just feeling frustrated and overwhelmed with the idea of how to get into the industry. So we're going to talk about some very concrete ideas of how you can plan for 2016, since we just started 2016, but you can start this at any time. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the year, but we're all kind of in that mode right now. How you can plan your year so you can be really productive and profitable this year. Because sometimes we're just kind of grasping at straws of what we should do. And this week we do one thing, and this week we do another thing. And this week our focus is this. And then we think, oh my gosh, I should be doing this. And you do something else. So this is to get you organized and get your priorities set. So we're going to talk about 5 different areas, and I've made them all start with M, so it's easier to follow. And I'm doing my normal teaching style here, which I sometimes don't do on a webinar, but I'm wanting to make this a real workshop, more like what I do in the academy, because I want you guys to get some real meat out of this. So the first one is going to be meaning, values, and goals, then mindset, then mentors and accountability, movement and momentum, my favorite part, and the most important one, I think, is monitoring progress. So let's get into this stuff. I hope you have something to take notes with, because you're really going to want to take notes on this stuff. It's not just something that you can kind of glean and remember. This is really specific action taking stuff. So I'm actually going to pull out of this real quick just to make sure that all is good. Nobody is saying, oh my gosh, I can't hear you, all that stuff. Okay, just checking, and let me just check these comments real quick, and you guys will see these on the screen. I'm here and I can hear you. Yay, okay. My computer's audio isn't, interesting. There is no way of calling in. Let's see, let me just write her a message real quick. No way of calling in, but there will be a replay or another, or I can't type. Chance to attend. I cut my finger washing my food processor yesterday, so I'm having a little trouble typing. I'm glad I don't have to type most of the time in this workshop, because it hurts. All right, so let's get to the presentation, back to the presentation here, now that I know you guys can hear me. And I'll check back every once in a while, just because it makes me feel better to know that you guys are engaged and all that. So first, we're going to talk about meaning, values, and goals. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't done already for your music business, is create your mission statement. Now, I know this sounds very like corporate-y, business-y, but it can be very simple. It's just to make sure that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you can easily articulate that to someone else. So if someone said, like, so what do you do? And if music is your main career, or if you wanted to talk about the part of your career that is music, what would you say? You want to think about what you do every day or in general and why you do it. So, for example, for me, and also like, who are your fans? What kind of music do you make? Do you want to serve people? Do you want to make the world better in a certain way? So, for me, my music was, I write pop rock, inspirational, piano-driven music. I write, record, and perform that kind of music to inspire and encourage people, at at churches, women's groups, and fundraisers. If that was generally what I did back in the day, that would be what I would say. So, you then, of course, that just came out. That was very spontaneous. So I would sit down, I'd write down a bunch of stuff, and then I would kind of hone that down into one sentence. And that's going to help drive you in all these other areas of knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. If your focus is, I want to write music to get it licensed on TV, then that should be your mission. If, like a friend of mine who never even performs out, but she has a whole big fan base of people online, then her goal is to record music that her fans will love and, want to buy. And she's not even going to be performing. So think about exactly what you do and why you do it and create that mission statement. Then we're going to talk about your core values, because that will drive also everything that you do. And it's super important to know what your core values are, because there are certain things in your life that are non-negotiable that, if someone asked you to give that up or to do something that was completely against what your core values were, you wouldn't do that. So you want to make sure that those are in line with what your mission is. For example, they can be things like family, impact that you want to have on the world. Maybe you really want fame. Maybe you're very, very strongly engaged in certain causes and social justice and things like that. Maybe it's important that you have flexibility. When I was performing, flexibility was huge for me because I had a 2-year-old. So I needed to make sure that I could fit all my, stuff into still being a mom. So think about what those things are, write them down, and make sure that they're in line with your mission statement. And then your goals that we get to next are in line with that. So we're going to create your top 5 goals for 2016. And they need to be based on your mission statement and your core values. And I'm suggesting that you create one goal in each area of your business. So you want to think of, 5 major areas in your music career that you need to work on. Maybe they are growing your fan base. We all need to do that all the time. So I think everybody needs a goal in that area. Booking and performing. If you perform and you want to do more of that, that's an important area to have a goal. A financial goal. It's really good to be specific with a financial goal that is going to drive where you go. Because if you're just kind of like, yeah, I want to make more money, then you need to get specific, because otherwise you're not going to have any way to measure when we get to the monitoring section. Songwriting. Maybe you want to write 10 songs this year. Maybe you want to get 5 new collaborators. Whatever that is, you need to have a goal in that area. And recording, maybe you want to record a new album this year. So think about 5 areas that you can focus on. And then you want to think about the top 5 reasons why you want to achieve these goals. What will your life be like if you achieve them? And what will it be like if you don't? If you did not achieve the goals that you wanted to last year, think about how frustrated you were. Think about how you felt like everybody was maybe passing you by in your career advancement, and you couldn't understand why that was. So think about the reasons that are really going to drive you as to why you want to do these things. Then number 4, you want to pick one focus goal for the first 90 days. So you're still going to have your 5 goals, but I want you to have one goal that is really your focus. Maybe that is booking. For me, that was booking when I was first starting my career, because obviously in order to get fans, I needed to have shows. In order to get known, I needed to have shows. In order to sell things, I needed to have shows. So it all kind of was driven by the one thing. And so I needed to make that my primary focus. So everything you do will be seen through the lens of this goal. And then number 5 is you want to talk about committing these things to your calendar. So I love this quote from Chris Brogan: your day is your week, is your month, is your year. It's not just this overarching thing of your year, because that's so overwhelming. You need to think about it down to the level of the day. And then you look at your week, and then you look at your month, and then you look at your 3 months, your 90-day goal, and you look at your year. So if you don't have goals that are based upon individual days, then you're not going to get to the goal for the week and the month and the year. So you want to fill up your work calendar. When I say your work calendar, I mean the hours of the day that you can work on your music career. Maybe that's just in the evenings. Maybe that's just on the weekends, depending on what you do, if you're full-time or part-time. Look at that calendar, and then you want to find a length of time slot that's going to work for you for focusing on particular goals. So some people like to do just 20 minutes at a time because otherwise they feel overwhelmed. Some people like to do an hour or 90 minutes because they want to feel like they have enough time to really dig into what they're working on. So you need to kind of figure out what works for you. And then create at least one recurring time slot for each goal. So maybe it's once a week or once a day, depending on what it is. So maybe you really want to work on your songwriting this year and you need to spend 30 minutes every morning working on your songwriting. Then you need to put that in your calendar for a recurring thing for every single day. For week 1, then fill out the empty slots. So after you've done the recurring things for the different 5 goals, then you want to fill in the recurring slot or the regular slots that aren't filled in, the blank spaces, with things for your focus goal, because that's what you're going to spend the most time on. And you're going to put some specific actions in there to get you toward your focus goal in those empty slots. So I'm going to show you what my calendar, I don't know why it's like black with the purple and all that, but it looked this way for some reason when I copied it. But this is what my Google Calendar looks like. I've got my personal appointments in here. I've got voice lesson with my daughter, piano lesson with my other daughter, a bunch of doctor's appointments and all that. And then I've got all my work stuff in here in the purple. And then I've got some other family related things in blue. And so, I went in, I have certain recurring things, like every day I spend 30 minutes on social media, and then I went in here and I filled in these empty slots with big fat time slots of doing the things that I needed to do towards specific goals. Okay, next we're going to talk about mindset. And I know we're going a little bit fast, but there's so much information here. And I just want to kind of give you an overview of all this so you can really, put all this into action. So we're going to talk about morning routine, evening routine, and outside influences. And before we get into that, I'm just going to check real quick on the making sure that we're still seeing the screen and all that. Yep, sharing my screen. So let me just check and see if there's anything going on in the chat that I need to know about. Okay, I can hear you. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Now that I turned up the volume. Oh, good. I'm so glad you can hear. Awesome. All right, let me get back to the presentation then. I hate that you have to go back between present mode. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so we are talking about mindset. Number 1, we're talking about our morning routine. So what time do you get up? This is an important question to ask yourself. And do you get up with an alarm, or do you just get up like whenever you wake up? Because if you want to be intentional about your day, you need to set an alarm. You need to get up at a specific time so you can put stuff in your schedule. For me, I get up almost 2 hours before my kids get up because I want to have that time to get some work done before they come out being crazy and needing a lot of my help. So, what do you do first thing? I think it's really important to center your day first thing. And first thing is to obviously wake up. Do you need to splash water on your face? Do you need to drink some soothing hot water with lemon? Do you need to drink cold water? Do you need to do you need to, like, for me, I drink a protein shake, but I put like about a half a cup of coffee in there, and it just is just enough to wake me up, you know? So, or do you need to maybe do some meditation when you first get up? Maybe that helps you wake up, helps center you. So, I've got some suggestions of what you can do in the morning to get woken up, but the most important thing is being intentional about it, setting an alarm. Um, and try to get up an hour earlier at least than what you have to do to start your day, because then you'll have that extra hour to do these things that we're going to talk about. So you can do meditation if that seems a little strange to you. You know, that can also be known as prayer, or you can just maybe visualize and get some affirmations going, as far as, you know, I'm going to have a really good day. I'm going to do these things, and visualize yourself doing those things. Visualize what is going to happen once you do those things. Maybe visualize what your life is going to be like in 90 days once you've really accomplished that 90-day goal. So then you want to spend 5 minutes once you've gotten yourself all woken up and stuff. Review your 5 goals. Just remind yourself, okay, this is why I'm doing this. These are the things that I'm doing, and these are the reasons I'm doing them. And then I want you to add to your to-do list based upon your goals. So if something comes to mind, like if you look at your goals and then go, oh my gosh, I just remembered I have to call this person. Or, you know, I just remembered I needed to connect with this person on Facebook about a song that we're writing. You know, put those things in your to-do list right away. And I like to use the to-do list as more of a dumping ground instead of an actual to-do list that I work off of all the time, because it can be super overwhelming. It just needs to be a place of brain dump. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But check off the items on your to-do list that you did do. If you haven't done this already, and when we're going to talk about night routine in a minute, but if you haven't done that, you need to do that part. And then review your calendar and see what you might need to move around. And hopefully you've done this the evening before, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if you haven't, you know, make sure and move the things over from yesterday that you didn't do, that you still know you need to do, that you haven't checked off. And then move items from your to-do list that are super urgent onto your calendar for that day. You should try to find 3 things that are like non-negotiables, like you have to do them today or it's going to be a problem. You know, for me, I have to do this webinar today, so I put that on my calendar. You know, I have to send out an email promoting this webinar, so I had to put that on my calendar. You know, depending on what it is, maybe you have a gig next week and you really need to call that venue and make sure you're all on the same page. You need to put that on your calendar so you do it. Don't just think in the back of my mind, oh yeah, I got to remember to call that venue. No, you know, especially after 40, it's a lot harder to remember things that you put in your mind. You need to put them on paper and on your calendar. So the evening routine, and this is really important, I think, because number one, you review your day and see the things that went right, the things that you got done, and you feel accomplished. We're like, oh yeah, I had these things on my calendar and I did them. That is awesome. And I didn't do these things. Now, sometimes, you know, the day doesn't go as planned. Actually, a lot of times when you have kids, but the day doesn't go as planned and you didn't get the things done you needed to. It's okay. You know, don't beat yourself up. Just move them to the next day and have the intent to get them done the next day. Also, do a mind dump. And this is what I'm talking about with the to-do list. You know, make that kind of the brain dump area where you go, okay, what are all the things that I need to do this week that I haven't thought of yet? And just get them all out of your head, you know, and get them onto paper, because you will feel so much better when you try to go to sleep, because these things aren't just going to be, you know, banging around in your brain, distracting you. So get them all on paper. And then, you know, the next morning you can put them on, figure out which things you really need to do that day. So, also no phone or tablet before bed if you can handle it, because it just makes it harder to sleep. If you read emails, you start thinking about that. Just the act of looking at something that's lit up actually makes it really hard to then settle into sleep. So, next thing is your outside influences. I'm going to go over this super quick. You just want to look at the people that influence your life. Are they positive? Do they support you? Do they encourage your dreams? Do they challenge and elevate you? That's something that I think is really important, to have friends that challenge and elevate you and aren't just like, oh, yeah, you're the best thing ever. They need to say, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Um, just really elevate your game. Do you have negative influences? Are there people that kind of get into this victim loop and they pull you in? You know, Try to avoid those people. I know sometimes it's hard if they're family members, but try to limit your contact, or steel your mind against that before you see those people, because that affects, how you do your work. If they've got this victim mentality going on and it's seeping into you, then you're thinking to yourself, oh, why should I even do these things? They're not going to do me any good. Nobody's even going to like my music. Why should I even try so hard to promote it? And you just get into this vicious cycle. So, you know, just try really hard to limit your contact, and then schedule one time per week with somebody that really does elevate you. I think that's really important. And that leads into number 3, which is mentors and accountability. Mentors are super important, and everybody needs a mentor. Even people who are mentors to other people need mentors. I mean, if you think about it, counselors, most counselors also have their own counselor. It's not like they've got it all figured out. It's that you need somebody that can see you outside of yourself and that has a different perspective, and also someone who's been to where you want to be and gone through what you're going to be going through and is going to be able to help you through that. I have business coaches I've worked with over the years, and I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have those, because I can't figure it all out by myself. I can't see things that are outside of myself because, you only have one perspective. So I highly recommend you find a mentor. Where can you find mentors? Well, you can find them locally at, meetup groups for musicians or for business. You can find them online. And I would totally get recommendations, people that you see that you think are successful, who are their mentors? And kind of try to hang out in their world. And what I mean by that is, if they're somebody online, then hang out in their world for a while and see if they're a good fit for you, because, they may be the best, most successful person in the world, but if they have the wrong personality that's not going to fit with yours, then they're not the right mentor for you, because they're not going to be helpful for you. You're just going to clash. So, I can't, be strong enough about investing in yourself with finding a mentor. I had a group when I was finally getting going with my music career, and there were mentors in that group that made all the difference for me, because I didn't know how to do certain things. I couldn't figure things out, and they had done them. And they absolutely helped me figure those things out. And it's important to have skin in the game. That was a paid group that I was in. And I wouldn't have gotten that level of help if I had been in just some free Facebook group, which you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, having some skin in the game is important, because you're actually going to really pay attention to whether you're doing what you need to be doing with your mentor. And then accountability. Now, this is something that I think is key. Like, even if you don't have a mentor, you need to have some kind of accountability. Everyone needs accountability. I have an accountability partner, and it's so important to me each week when I meet with my accountability partner, because she challenges me. She knows my business. She knows what I do. And she asks a lot of great questions. Did you, and then I tell her every week, okay, these are the things I'm supposed to do this week. And then I come back with her and she says, did you do those things? How did that go? It's really important to have that. So what can you do? How can you find these people? Well, you can join a mastermind group like I mentioned. You can get people, you can get accountability through free Facebook groups. Even if you met somebody in Women of Substance that you really love their music, you can ask them if they want to be an accountability partner, because everybody needs one. You can meet someone locally. And then what do you want to look for? Not just any accountability partner is good. You need to find someone that has a similar business model to you. So if you're someone that tours all year long, you don't want an accountability person that never tours, in my opinion, because they're not going to really understand what you're going through. It's helpful to have somebody that has a similar business style as you. Similar goals. Are they band or solo? And then, maybe even genre, because, if you're like a Christian artist, you probably don't want to work with a hardcore artist. It just wouldn't be a good fit. So same work ethic is the most important thing, because if they don't have the same work ethic you do, they're not going to show up. They're not going to, care or even, feel, into it and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do and they're doing what they're supposed to do. So, and a similar level of career. So you probably, if you've been doing music for 5 years, you probably don't want to pick someone that's just started out. Set a weekly meeting, either in person or on the phone. I do mine on the phone. I try to do my morning walk while I'm talking, and put it on your calendar and don't change it. That's the important thing. My accountability partner and I, we do not change it unless like a family emergency has occurred, because otherwise it gets put off. It's so easy to just say, oh, I don't feel like it today. And especially don't change it if you feel like you don't have anything to say. If you've had a bad week, that's the most important time to be with your accountability partner. All right. Sorry, I know we're going super fast, but there's just like so much stuff I wanted to teach you guys. So movement and momentum. And if you have questions, put them in the box, in the discuss box, and I will answer them after I'm done here. So I'm going to talk about to-do lists to the calendar, consistency and focus, the 20% rule, which is super important. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you, and the stop doing list, my favorite. So number 4, movement and momentum, is all about the to-do list to the calendar. So as I said earlier, the to-do list, the way you've traditionally been doing it, might be completely killing your productivity, because it just makes you feel overwhelmed. You see this like 2-page to-do list and you're like, I can't possibly do this. I give up. So don't think of the to-do list as a to-do list. Think of it as a mind dump area, as a, free writing zone, and don't feel pressured by that document. It's just a place to organize things. So your calendar is your true driver. So keep your to-do list in a place that you can access it all the time. So I suggest your phone. I find there's a lot of really cool apps that you can use for your to-do list. Just try some out and see which ones you like. Some are free, some are really cheap. They're all different in different ways and are organized in different ways. And it's all going to depend on the way you like to organize your life, which one you like. So I like to keep it on my phone. You can keep it on paper if you want, as long as you have that paper with you all the time, because as soon as something pops into your mind, you need to put it on your to-do list. Really important. Review your to-do list every morning, as we mentioned, and determine your 3 big items that must get done. And then decide what times of day you're going to do those things and put them on your calendar. And you want to do them during your prime time, which is basically the time that you focus the best. For me, I'd say my prime time is like 8 to noon because, I work full time in music. So that was my super prime time. When I was doing my music career and I had kids, my prime time was when they were napping, or my prime time was when my daughter was at preschool. That was when I could really, really focus on what I was doing. I wasn't going to try to do the most important things while, my daughter was playing with Legos next to me. That wasn't going to work. Number 2, consistency is the key, and focus. So, always look at your calendar before you start working. So whenever you're working, whether it be morning or evening or middle of the day, or maybe you work for a while and then you come back and do some more work later, always check your calendar. Make sure that you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Because if you sit down at your computer and you just open up email or open up social media, it is so easy to get sidetracked. And you're thinking, well, I'm doing stuff for my business. I'm networking with these people. I'm answering emails. Those are all good things, but they need to be at a focused time, because otherwise all of a sudden an hour will go by and you'll be like, what happened? I was going to do booking calls and now I don't have time for that. So don't try to multitask, and turn off your distractions. Like I said, email, for me, email is a super huge distraction. Social media, especially if your computer makes that noise every time something comes in, it's like, oh, I have to check. Your phone, your text, like the world is not going to end if you don't check those unless you're waiting for something very specific. Turn those off. And then what tools do you need to be more consistent? So, maybe it's choosing an app for your to-do list. Maybe it's setting up your Google Calendar to be the way you need it to be. I mean, for me, I changed my Google Calendar view to be Monday through Sunday because that made so much more sense to me. And then you can change the length of the spots that you put on your calendar to whatever you want. You can make all that customizable. And it would only take you 10 minutes to set all that stuff up, and it will make your life so much easier. So figure out what you need. For me, what I needed to be more consistent was I needed to have a better consistency on social media. So I figured out the tools I needed for that was I needed an assistant to help me with that. And I needed a scheduling tool like Hootsuite or Meet Edgar or Social or whichever one you like to use. But I needed a scheduling tool, or I also needed a plan for social media. So figure out what it is that you need to be more consistent and get that in place. The 20% rule, this is really cool because we often don't realize that this is true, but 20% of your work generates 80% of your results. Can you believe that? It's actually rather frustrating to think about it. So we want to up that percentage. So we want to figure out what is that 20%. What do you do that generates most of your momentum, your income, your movement toward your goal? What are those things? And what specific actions are required to do those? And then you want to put those on your calendar and make those the focus of toward your goal. So here's an example. Maybe you're trying to do all social media platforms. You're trying to do Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and, whatever else is out there. And when you really analyze it, you realize, you know what? Most of my fans are on Facebook. I'm doing all this stuff on Twitter, but I'm not getting any engagement. Or I'm posting stuff on Instagram several times a day and I'm not getting very much engagement or not many new fans. Then you need to focus more on Facebook. You need to do what's working. You can still do those other things, but scale them back. Do less of those, do more of the things that work. And then figure out which things do not move the needle for you that are in the 80%. And what can you do instead of those things? Like I said, you spend more time on Facebook, less time on the other platforms. Or maybe whatever you're doing on those platforms is not working. Maybe you need to change your strategy. So lastly, in number 4, movement, I think this is last. Yes. Your stop doing list. So you're going to take your things that land in your 80% and you're going to put them on your stop doing list. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to stop posting to Twitter 10 times a day because it's not working. I'm only going to post once a day. I'm going to stop checking my social media every 5 minutes. I'm going to stop multitasking because I realize it doesn't work. Figure out what these actions are that you need to avoid and, put them on your stop doing list. Maybe it's, I'm going to stop. Like for me, I get so focused on what I'm doing that I forgot to eat lunch. I need to stop doing that. I need to stop focusing for so long. I need to take a break. So maybe on my stop doing list is stop working at noon, to make myself eat lunch. Okay, number 5, monitoring your progress. So this is really important to your success because you want to know, are these things that I'm doing toward my goals really working? So you're going to ask yourself once a week these really important questions. You want to set aside time at the end of the week. And I personally think Sunday night is the best time because you're more back in work mode. At the end of Friday, you're just like, I'm done. I'm burnt out. I need a break. Or if you're a musician and you're touring, you're like, oh, I'm super busy all weekend because I'm performing. So I think Sunday night's great. And you need to ask yourself these questions. You need to ask, what did you get done and completed this week? Because half done is not done. And what went well and what didn't go well? Where did you waste your time? That's a big one. Every week I think back and I think, where did I waste my time? Because there's always somewhere that I wasted my time. When were you at your best? And were you following the 20% rule? Did you meet with your accountability partner? Were you actually accountable this week? And how did you do with your stop doing list? Did you actually stop doing them? And what are you grateful for? This one I think is really important because sometimes if we have a crappy week, we can completely lose sight of the things that went well. So, the other day I was thinking when I was having a really crappy day, I was having bad technology problems. And then my friend called and said, we had 300 pounds of sewage leaking under our house and we're evacuated. And so I could say, I am thankful that I don't have 300 pounds of sewage under my house. There's a lot of things to be thankful for and we just don't realize them because we're in the moment of frustration. And then you want to do your calendar review at that same time each week. You want to talk about or think to yourself, did you get everything done on your calendar? If not, can you move them to the next week? Are there things that can still be done? And that's what I love about Google Calendar. You can just drag stuff to the next week. Is your time slot length working for you focus-wise? For me, I need long focus times, but if I make them too long, then I ignore the other things that I need to do, like taking a break to exercise or taking a break to eat. So I realized that I needed to make my time slots more like an hour and then just even put in those breaks in my calendar. So, do a review, see how that's working for you. Make sure you have all your personal stuff on the calendar. If you've got doctor's appointments or kid stuff or husband stuff, or whatever, time out with friends, make sure that's on your calendar so you can work around that. And then schedule in some fun time. Schedule in a walk with a friend, schedule in coffee with a friend, schedule in a date with your husband. Make sure that because for me, I get so focused on work sometimes that I forget to do those things. And then I think, why do I feel so isolated? So schedule those things into your calendar. I know it seems silly, but sometimes we have one-track minds and we don't realize that we're missing something until it's gone. So fill in additional slots with goal-related actions from your to-do list and also from your big 90-day goal. So when I see empty slots at the beginning of the week, then I go in and go, okay, I'm going to take these slots. I'm going to put specific actions in for my big goal. So I know that's a lot of stuff. It's a lot to get you started. But the next step is obviously to create your 2016 productivity and profitability plan. And how can you do that? I mean, you must have been exhausted taking notes from all that. It's a lot of information. So I have a new course that I've created that we're going to be going through this all in super depth in a live format called Designing Your Own Success, a strategic plan to skyrocket your productivity in 2016. And I am telling you from experience that these things really work. They worked for me in my music business, and some of them I've adopted just in the last year from a lot of the business coaches that I've worked with. And they made such a difference in my business last year. I doubled and in some areas even tripled my productivity in those goal areas. So we're going to be doing a 4-week class. Live classes include Q&A. All classes recorded for 24/7 access. So if you can't attend the class, no problem. You can watch it anytime you want. And then I'm going to have forms and templates for you to do your planning, because I think that is some of the barrier for us, is dealing with, how do I organize all this? So I want to give you forms that are going to allow you to answer all the questions you need to answer about you, your business, your career, your goals, and then commit them to some templates that are going to help you figure out your goals, figure out actions related to those goals, and what you're going to be putting on your calendar. We're also going to have some hot seats, which is really fun and I think really valuable in my experience. Some people that are willing to get on the hot seat, and we're going to help them figure out what their goals are and get really focused on what they're going to achieve this year. So this course is going to be $97. I'm going to be starting it next week. And like I said, it includes all the things here. And I personally think $97 is such a great value for all the stuff, a 4-week course and all the stuff that I'm going to be providing. But I don't want to stop there. I want to offer you something even better, because what I really want is for you guys to be part of the Female Musician Academy. It's such a great place to grow your career, your knowledge, your experience, your network. And I want to have you guys as part of that. I want to grow this community big and strong and mighty. And so what I want to offer you guys, and I'll get to that in a second, but first I want to let you know what you could get in the Female Musician Academy. I know some of you have considered joining. And so I just want to reiterate what we're going to have, what we have in the Academy already and what's to come. So, we're going to have the Skyrocket Your Productivity course that I just talked about, which is a $97 value. All these courses are $97 values. Profitable house concerts, which will kick your house concert tours into gear and allow you to make a lot of great money from house concerts. From Zero to Superfan, which is a marketing course to get your fan base growing, and all future courses. And I'm really excited to create more courses this year. So there's going to be a lot to come in that area. The 4-week Jumpstart course that we provide for all of the new members to just get you completely on track in all areas. A wonderful booking workshop with Louis Vizur. Music licensing with a couple different people. We're going to have another one coming up this month about music licensing that I'm really excited about at the end of the month, an expert workshop. from somebody who's gotten a lot of great licensing, and really knows how to do it and runs live workshops. So grow your following on Twitter with the Twitter Rockstar. He does a really great training. Some great information on how to write an artist bio, a contracts, copyright, and royalties workshop with someone who works for a law firm and administrates a lot of this stuff for artists. Direct access to industry experts every month. So every month we have a new industry expert workshop. Private artist network community, which is just amazing on Facebook. We have a secret group, and there's some really high-level artists in there. And Q&A with me anytime you need help. Not a problem. Just put questions in the Facebook group. And if I don't know the answer, or if I think that there's somebody else out there that can give you a better answer or more detailed, I will go get it, because I have a lot of people that I connect with. So as far as the Academy, you can purchase this course for $97 and it would be totally worth it for you. But what I want to offer you is I want to get you into the Academy and get all these benefits of the Academy. And I'm offering that right now for just $49 a month. So, this course will be done in a month or two. So say you were in for 2 months and you were able to take this course, that would be the same price as taking the course, but then you get to access all the other great stuff in the Academy and see if it's the right place for you. If you know the Academy is the right place for you because you've been hanging around and you see what we do, then I suggest you go for the 50% off for the full year, which is going to be $297. And that's going to be a total 50% off for the entire year, which is such a great deal for what you get in the Academy. And nothing else can touch it. If you were to go to Berklee College of Music or, any kind of online music training, you're not going to get the breadth of what we do for this price. So, for the first 10 people that take me up on the year membership for $297, I will give you a free elite sponsorship at Women of Substance Radio and Podcast. That's going to be, it's going to be a whole month of radio ads, a whole month of banner ads, and 5 podcast spots, all at $100 value. And I'm only offering that for the first 10 action takers that take me up on the year membership, because we have, obviously a limited number of spaces for these sponsorships because they're in high demand. So keep that in mind. If you get in on the year, which is 50% off, number one, and then you can get this $100 value package, which will really help you promote your music to our listeners. So that is the end of what I want to talk about. I really hope you'll consider joining the Academy. I know that it's going to be a great investment toward your career, and just having skin in the game, even if it's $49, having skin in the game and having invested in your career, you're going to have so much more focus. You're going to really do it because you're going to be motivated. You've put this money down and you are investing in yourself. So we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. I don't anticipate anyone needing to use that, but if you do, it's always there. We do offer payment by PayPal. If you prefer to use like PayPal credit, you can do that. And the link is here also on the page that you're watching this video on. A special link should have appeared underneath that says special link, and you can click on that. It will take you right to the order form. But if not, you can use this link right here. You can copy it. That says brienoble.clickfunnels.com/plan, and that will take you to the order form as well. And just remember, we've got 10 sponsorships available, $100 value on Women of Substance for the first 10 action takers on this. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this presentation. I'm going to go see if you guys have any questions in the chat. And once I've checked to see if you guys have any questions, if there isn't anything, then I'm going to go eat my lunch. But I also want to invite you, if you have any questions about this, please email me directly at Bree, B-R-E-E, at femusician.com. That's F as in female, E as in entrepreneur, musician.com. Go and let's see, do we see our special link? Yep, special link is right there. So click on the special link if you'd like to join the Academy today, and I will be immediately in touch with you with all your login information and to get you set up for your sponsorship if you end up doing the year at 50% off. So just email me if you have any questions. If I don't see any questions in here right now, it may be just because the discuss thing is not so easy to use. I can't wait till I get a new chat system. Let's see. For the Academy, who are the classes usually? When are the classes usually offered? I try to find a time that works for everybody, but I tend to want to offer the classes during the day just because it's easier for me if I don't have to worry about kids. I don't have to share bandwidth with, their Netflix watching or, or my husband watching football or whatever. So I like to do them during the day, but if there's an overwhelming need for the classes to be in the evening, I can do that too. That's not a problem. I've run 2 separate classes before just because we had people in the UK and it was just easier to have one that was earlier and one that was later so people could be live and ask questions. But if you can't be live, you can always ask questions in the Facebook group. You can always email me directly. There's a lot of access there, and I will do my best to accommodate everybody. Any more questions? If not, I'm going to go make myself a Mexican burrito. I'm just going to wait one more second, see if there's any more questions. I really appreciate you guys. Oh, Heather, hey, how's it going? I know you're on the West Coast, so maybe we have good timing as far as when you can do it. But would just love to answer any more questions if there are any. Otherwise, I am going to say sayonara. I'm just going to wait a sec because there's always a delay with these Google Hangouts. Oh, look, another comment. I can't wait to get a new chat system. Okay, awesome. Hey, Pete. Also, I'm not trying to discriminate as far as having the Female Musician Academy. It's just that I really love working with females. I've obviously attracted a lot of female musicians with the Women of Substance. So, it's a really cool, safe community for women to talk about, very specific issues to women as well. So I don't want you guys out there to feel like I don't love you, because I do. And most of you, work with a lot of women. So that's why, you're involved with this. But I just love working with women. So that's why I've created this community. Awesome. Kathy Jo, it's great to see you. You are welcome, and enjoy your lunch as well. I'm going to sign off right now because I don't see any more comments. By the way, I am going to do another one of these workshops this afternoon. It's just more like evening. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys know any other musicians you think could really benefit from this, if you want to come watch it again, totally fine. Come to this very same page, and I'll be doing this again at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right before we have to watch Mr. Obama on his last State of the Union. So I will be sure to be done before Mr. Obama starts. So I'll see you guys tonight if you want to come back and let anyone know that you think could really benefit from this. I will be excited to see you guys.